That's why I'm Katie blowing high like Arizona, blowing them 3-5s. I'm missing all my amigos on this Cinco, RIP 5. Even when I'm hurt, I tell myself that I'm gonna be fine. I feel just like
my YouTube garden game. Welcome back to the channel. Got another installment here in Rello Mellow Garden. And well, I guess today be giving y'all an update on some things I discovered going on with the tent over there, and maybe some what not to do's, some do nots. Anyways, we'll just hop right on in it. As y'all know, we've been struggling this run with our flowering plants. Couple things wrong, so we'll just go over those real quick. Starting out, there was the slightly over veg, or letting them get too tall, a little too close to the light, and we had the light intensity a bit high. Although I've come to the conclusion, and I kind of thought that wasn't the worst of what we had going on, because if you were to go, I think it's maybe a 3-month-old video. It's kind of before the channel started really getting views like that, but if you were to go check it out, I think it's called like Day 42 Flower Vipar Spectra or something. About 3 months. We had some plants that got fairly close to the light. Like, I don't really have a good time controlling height in this small space, only 5 foot. So those plants got fairly close to the light as well, and they looked way better than what we've got going on in here. And that is because what I figured out was pH of our soil probably has been way off since like week 4 of flower, and that's just due to using here baking soda. So I guess this really ain't something to be used, at least not for watering plants. And y'all know we were using it to buffer out the acidity of this here. I don't think I'm gonna be using this when our next batch of plants make it into the flowering tent either. So about both of these is crossed off my list. Not that there's this can get you some fairly good results, just it takes a ton of pH up, where I'll have to find something else that kind of buffers. I read that there might be other things that would have been better to use. I'm really forgetting what they are right now versus this baking soda. But yeah, I should have never used this because it jacked up our soil, our root zone. This can get you places, but we're not going to use that next run either. And you know, usually when doing organic, which that's what this started out as, obviously the More Bloom isn't organic. So really, by the time I started using the More Bloom, I should have been watering these plants to runoff, and probably at least once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, you should be checking the pH of your runoff. I'd say even if you are doing organic growing. The only difference is with synthetic, pretty much every time you water, you want to water to run off. With the organic growing, you just maybe want to occasionally do it to make sure the pH and stuff is in line. And yeah, that's something I completely neglected to do this run, or we probably would have caught that the pH was out of whack way earlier. I thought that maybe somehow the lights were just doing crazy damage to these, which obviously they gonna have some effect because they shouldn't be that close to that much intense light. But yeah, as if for the light being the nail in the coffin, kind of like we were talking about, not the case. I think this soil had actually become alkaline, which you want it slightly acidic, right? So that's like a 6 to a 6.5, maybe 6.5 to 6.8. Whereas when I measured this, it was above a 7.5. It was reading into the 8s, really. So what I did was get some slightly acidic leaning water, and we kind of flushed like 2 gallons of water through these. And honestly, that's a lot of water that went through them. So I probably should wait, but I don't think this 2 days been at, yeah, we already in late flower by the time I caught this. So I don't even think I'm gonna let these plants flower out the maximum time that they should be getting, which is like 63 to 65 days. I'm probably just gonna chop them at the end of next week. Sometime day 56 probably. And whatever they did, because yeah, we obliterated these with having that pH way out of whack. That's why so many of these leaves are necrosed and whatnot. And we got all this early fade on them because stuff like magnesium, iron, all that can no longer be picked up when the pH is that far out of whack. All that makes sense now, because it wasn't making sense to me how a little bit of light burn was causing all these problems. Again, like I said, if you check the video 3 months ago, this same little cross right here, you'll find it kind of on the same side of the tent, right side of the tent. And you can see the difference between the buds we got on that one versus this. And that just shows the importance of keeping your pH in line and making sure you do a thorough amount of research before trying something new. Say no to baking soda in the root zone. Anyways, we're about to run a bunch of this water through and see if I can get a pH reading. All right, y'all, I just ran like, what, 2 gallons of water through here, 2 gallons of water through there. Maybe I could do more, or I'm sure I could. I just really ain't got the time to be down here all day trying to constantly flood these pots, get the water up, and keep doing that. And yeah, I think we might be a little fried with this grow. I'm not even really having much luck getting the pH back to a reasonable range. So yeah, stay away from this mess right here. But yeah, I guess we'll let them finish week 8. These are in pretty rough shape. I don't think I can really do anything to fix them too much. I'm trying to flush out the soil. Like I said, I can't really get it to change, but it is what it is. I do want to actually hurry up and get these girls moved over to the 2x4 anyways. It's my first time trying to use this space to have a prep or plants prepped for flower, and we're kind of running out of space over here. So it'd probably be good to get those out the tent anyways and get these over there. And we will make sure not to obliterate our root zone. But yeah, that's what we got going on day 47. Probably gonna go ahead and get up out of here. And yo, we's back. Day 49 now with flower. Getting on along through there. Just use some of this as a pH down. Got the water sitting here, stirred in, letting it pH pen stabilize in the reading. It is fairly low, the pH, a little lower than I would usually do, because still trying to flush out the plants in here, or the pots I should say. Just hit the fans. Well, the inline is still going, but hopefully it's a little better sounding. Temp's a lot easier to control with the lights turned down. Really, by this point in flower, usually the humidity could be around 45, 50. A little high right now, but I don't have the dehumidifier here running right now. But it's not crazy out of whack. 57 is not terrible. But anyways, like y'all know, we did the whole thing with the baking soda. So I'm still trying to see if I can flush that element out of the pots, just so they at least last week or two, which I don't know how much is going to help at this point, but you know, be a little healthier, I guess. Some of the top buds in here are starting to get a little more density to them, but the lowers are still pretty off. I think this NF crossed with Oreos would have made for a real nice plant if we hadn't done what we did. But we did, so probably gonna give these, like I said, either to day 56, 63, maybe if I really feel like pushing them out there, then they'll get chopped down and we'll see what they do. It has been 2 days since we've watered. I really want it, since we ran, like, I don't know how much water I ran through them last time, 2-3 gallons through each pot. I really wanted them to have the opportunity to dry out so we don't deprive the root zone of oxygen and whatnot and damage this medium even more. But I think they're dry enough now. Might lower this pH just a bit, and we'll run that through. Or it's probably good there. It's about in line of where we would want it naturally. And I guess I seen I should run like 1.5 times the volume of the pots through there to try to really flush out what was in there. I think I might just add what I do on today to what I did like 2 days ago and say we got there. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. We will see. All right, y'all. Looks like we might have finally beat that baking soda. I think it's been 6 to 7 gallons of water ran through this pot, plus another 6 to 7 through this one over here. And we're finally, looks like we're getting the runoff pH reading to read within a reasonable range. When I caught this, it was going all the way up to an 8, so it was alkaline. You pretty much never want that. Cannabis should always be slightly acidic, which is what we're getting here at this 6.5. A 6 to a 6.5 is what we like. If we would have caught this sooner, obviously it would have been a lot better, but it looks like we have corrected it. Probably about to give it some of that, or maybe I should wait until next watering. Alrighty, yeah. Looks like we got the pH readings back where they should be. Maybe we'll water till runoff one more time. Of course, we won't have to do a whole bunch of runoff. Right now, that plus that is about 4 gallons of water. So again, each of them just had around 2. About 2 days ago, I think I did the same thing. And a day or two prior to that, they might have had 3 per pot. But I think that was enough water to kind of reset this soil. We probably just flushed out a lot of the nutrients. They weren't available to the plants anyways, with the pH being so far off. I imagine the microbial life probably got wrecked in there. So I was thinking maybe, so I honestly don't know if I want to brew up another compost tea. I just had one brewed. You can see all this stuff up here that we use for it, but we gave that to the plants and veg in the outdoor. Brewing up another compost tea would be the best course of action, but again, we're on day 49. They might just have 1 week left. So maybe I'll give them a small shot of this. It has microbes in it. Humic acids is also good for the type of mistake we made. Just to give the soil a little better replenishing. And I guess it'll get like a micro dose of the bloom nutrients, phosphorus, potassium, whenever we use this again, because obviously we use it to pH down. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up for what we got going here on day 49. Go ahead and let these finish ripening. They should be able to grow at a more regular rate now with the soil fixed, I think. I'm not sure, to be honest. If it'll have lasting effects. Or obviously it's gonna have lasting effects, quality, yield, all that, but I don't know how fast it's gonna auto-correct as far as the plants go now that the medium should be stabilized. Of course, we'll have to reintroduce microbes and a little bit of nutrients, I guess, which that Espoma tomato comes with nutrients as well. So really that might, yeah, that should be good. I ain't really been looking at them too much with the jeweler's loop here. It's looking fairly good. Looks like a lot of cloudy trichomes, maybe. A mix of cloudy and clear, not seeing too many ambers. Of course, this is just one bud. You want to check multiples throughout. But that's what that looks like. And this is gonna go ahead and wrap up our week 7. I don't think this might be a shorter one. Maybe, maybe not. I usually end up accidentally making these longer than I expect each time. But yeah, week 7 there. Slightly botched growth. It is what it is. Curry and missed a 3-point. LeBron had missed a layup before. Stuff happens at times. But y'all know, found this video helpful, entertaining. Please do leave us a like. Definitely shout out to everybody that's been rocking with me. Channel's got some good stuff going on. Like I said, I think here in the near future we might have a somewhat big announcement. Of course, you can see how these little thingies finish up if you subscribe. See how our next batch of plants that'll be flowering out do. Check out our outdoor, learn from my mistakes, and possibly pick up some new knowledge I might drop on you. Hit the bell to be notified when we do drop. Usually it's gonna be on Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. And I'm out.